Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast Special Edition Show 2022 Major League Baseball Predictions. This is an annual tradition unlike any other on the show where I go through the standing predictions and the postseason awards, and then I do superlatives like best rookie, most improved / breakout players, disappointing players, or taking a step back players, bounce back, comeback players, make or break players, all-stars, bold predictions for each team, and miscellaneous crap. All right, we're going to start with the standings, and we'll start at the American League East. And I have winning the division with a record of 97-65, the Toronto Blue Jays. They were the best team in the division last season, low-key, in the latter half of the year after the Rays kind of were on cruise control after the Tyler Glasnow injury. And they really emerged and probably should have made the playoffs last year over the likes of the Yankees and the Red Sox. And they add to that great core that they have by acquiring Matt Chapman from Oakland to go with Vlad Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, George Springer, and all those guys. And then their pitching staff, they lose Robbie Ray, but they signed Kevin Gausman. So you could look at that as addition by subtraction in a weird way. Jose Barrios came over at the trade deadline last year. He was fabulous. And I think he's going to be great. Alek Manoah is a young pitcher that I really like to have a breakout year, potentially. And their bullpen, I don't think is great. But I do like their closer, Jordan Romano. I think is going to save a lot of games for them. In second place, I have the record of 90-72, the Tampa Bay Rays. Despite trading away Austin Meadows the other day, I still believe that this is a solid team. They don't have Tyler Glasnow this year, I don't think. But the rest of that rotation is deep. Shane McClanahan, I really like. I think that Shane Baz will be up at some point to help that team. And offensively, despite losing Meadows, they have a good young duo in Wander Franco and Randy Arozarena, who I think will lead the way offensively. Brandon Lau had a big year last year. And they have some other competent players, and they have a defensive whiz in center field, and Kevin Kiermaier. Their bullpen is deep. You'll see Ryan Yarbrough go between the pen and the rotation. And your closer on this team is Andrew Kitteridge, who I think is super good. Third in the division with a record of 87-75, the New York Yankees. The Yankees, weirdly, low total for me to peg them by, because I'm usually high on this team, which the low total is because of how I feel about the Blue Jays and the Rays, and less about how I feel about them in some ways. I think they're taking on a lot of risks in the rotation and in the lineup. They make the trade with Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela going to the Twins for Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. They have a new left side of the infield. They're hoping for a bounce-back seasons for Gleyber Torres and DJ LeMahieu. Aaron Judge is among one of the best players in baseball. Giancarlo Stanton had a good year last year. They are hoping that Aaron Hicks stays healthy. Joey Gallo, Anthony Rizzo were traded for at the deadline a year ago. They're back for full seasons. By the way, Yankees last year, 92-70. So they were a little better than I thought. I thought they were less than 90 wins last year for some reason. But they went 92. That's still pretty good. And like I said, I won't be shocked if they get off to a slow start and they get hot late and get into the postseason. But I just think that there's some issues on this team. They could address at the trade deadline. Rotation-wise, Garrett Cole, amazing, as we know. Second in the Cy Young voting a year ago, but they banned the sticky stuff, and he was bad down the stretch last year, including in the wild card game. Jameson Taillon has upside, but he's never really put it together. Same with Luis Severino. Jordan Montgomery, Nestor Cortez are similar pitchers. Don't provide much upside, but provide stability. So the Yankees have a mix of both stability and upside in their rotation, and obviously the ace and Garrett Cole. Their bullpen's really good. They've had some guys come and go, and last year they had Jonathan Loáisiga break out. Chad Green's hit or miss. Chapman, he makes you nervous, but he gets saves. He's hot and cold. Zach Britton, contract year. When's he going to be back is the question, if he's back at all this season, like some are speculating. So it's going to be an interesting year for the Yankees, and Aaron Boone's back after speculation of his job last year because he was a lame duck, but they extended him for 3 more years. So we'll see how that goes. And then Brian Cashman, he, I believe, has 3 more years left on his deal. I think him and Aaron Boone are in the same contractual years in terms of termination of their contract years left. So, like, their contracts may end simultaneously. So we'll see with that. In 4th place with a record of 84-78, the Boston Red Sox. A low win total for them for the same reason as the Yankees a little bit, except I have them with less wins because I feel that their rotation is a mess with Chris Sale out for 2 months with his injury. Nathan Eovaldi's your opening day starter. He collapsed in that playoff game against the Astros last year after dominating against the Yankees in the playoffs, and then he just had that collapse at Fenway, and I believe he was booed off the mound. I think they're going to miss Eduardo Rodriguez in that rotation. Tanner Houck is expected to take a step forward for them in that rotation. Their offense is going to score some runs. That's probably the sole reason why I have them finishing above 500. They add Trevor Story to that lineup with Rafael Devers, Xander Bogaerts, J.D. Martinez. And will Tristan Casas be called up at some point this season is a big question for them. And their bullpen is very iffy. Matt Barnes is their closer. And in the cellar, the record of 58-104 the Baltimore Orioles. This is, I think, the worst team in the American League. Unless if Oakland completely, guts the rest of their roster. Because they still have competent players. I mean, Baltimore does too, but their rotation is just abysmal outside of John Means. Bruce Zimmerman? Come on. And then their offense, I like Ryan Mountcastle. I think that he'll build off his breakout year. Adley Rutschman's going to be up at some point. Cedric Mullins, will he repeat the good year he had last year? Anthony Sandair, Austin Hayes had solid years last year too. And their bullpen, they just traded 2 of their relievers away to Miami. And their closer right now is slated to be Paul Fry. AL Central, I've winning the division with the record of 94-68, the Chicago White Sox. They've been the perennial team in this division for a few years now. Jose Abreu's still around. Yo Moncada's still around. The catcher, Yasmani Grandal's still there. Luis Robert, good young player. Eloy Jimenez is going to be there the whole year. They have Andrew Vaughn, who I like. Gavin Sheets is slated their DH with Yermain Mercedes hurt, but he might even would have been in AAA anyway. Their rotation took a hit with the Lance Lynn injury. They have Lucas Giolito, who I'm a big fan of, Cy Young candidate for me this season. Dylan Cease, I think, will be better. Dallas Keuchel, you expect him to be better than he was last year. And Michael Kopech is always a wild card with this team, and he's going to be there a whole year. Some think that he may be better off as a reliever, and people like me think he's better off as a starter like he was thought out to be. Bullpen-wise, they traded away Craig Kimbrell for A.J. Pollock, and I think that their bullpen is a little bit in shambles now with that trade and the loss of Garrett Crochet, so they got to make a trade for somebody. Although Liam Hendricks is an elite closer. I'm a big fan of Liam Hendricks. In second place, I have the record of 87-75, the Minnesota Twins. I like the Twins this year. They make big additions on offense with Carlos Correa, Gary Sanchez, and Giovanni Urshela, although I do think Urshela's going to be more of a bench guy on the Twins, like he was with Cleveland. And the Yankees, before the Yankees needed him in that starting lineup several years ago. And they already have Miguel Sano and some other guys, Byron Buxton, Can he stay healthy for once? That's a big question for them. Rotation-wise, I like Sonny Gray and the fit there because of the big ballpark. Joe Ryan, I think, could be a Rookie of the Year candidate for Minnesota. I think he was a big prize in that Nelson Cruz trade from a while back ago. So he'll help them. Their bullpen is really good. I like their closer, Taylor Rogers. And I do think they'll make some other significant additions with the bullpen. In third, I have a record of 77-85, the Detroit Tigers. I think they're a year away. I don't think they're going to be above 500 like other experts are predicting. I just think that they're not ready for those expectations yet. They have a good manager in A.J. Hinch. I like the addition of Eduardo Rodriguez, and I like the fit in the ballpark for him too. I like Casey Mize this year a lot. Spencer Torkelson's going to start the year with the team. Riley Green would have if he didn't get hurt. Miguel Cabrera is still around amazingly enough. Javier Baez was brought in as a free agent, so things are looking up for the Tigers. And I think that their bullpen is like the weak part of their team. Their closer this year, the start, will be Gregory Soto, who I really don't like. And like I said, they're heading in the right direction. But I think a year away for the Detroit Tigers. Next up, in fourth place with a record of 72-90, the Cleveland Guardians, the new Guardians, formerly known as the Indians, now the Guardians. They're going to be potentially the next Oakland that breaks it down in tanks in the American League. Francisco Lindor already is gone. Is Jose Ramirez next out the door? And then after that, maybe Shane Bieber. So Ramirez is their only, truly star on that team. I do like Franmil Reyes as a DH. Maybe he's traded at the deadline to a contender. You never know. They have those guys from the Lindor trade that really haven't broke through yet, and Martin Rosario and Andres Jimenez. Rotation-wise, I love Shane Bieber. I love Tristan McKenzie, who I think will be better this year. Zach Plesac, I think, will be better. Aaron Savali, I like. He'll be better. And Cal Quantrill, who came over from the Padres. I forget what deal he came over in. But he's a talented pitcher, too. And they have a great closer that they absolutely stole from the Rangers in Emmanuel Clase. So, the Guardians are an interesting team this season for sure. And in the cellar in this division with the record of 66-96, the Kansas City Royals. I think they avoid 100 losses. A lot of people are high on this team. I'm not there yet. Their pitchers really haven't improved in the way where it impacts their win total. And to me, the addition of Zach Greinke, I think, will help them in that regard and help those young guys learn, like Brady Singer. Brad Keller's a steady pitcher, but really hasn't quite put it all together, per se. And I do like some other guys on this rotation, like Daniel Lynch. And then Amir Garrett's on this team now out of the bullpen. Closing for them will be Scott Barlow. And offensively, the Royals, they have Bobby Witt Jr. starting the year with the team, which is great. I do like some other guys on KC. Salvador Perez had his best year last year. I don't know if he'll repeat that. I think that they need to replace Jorge Soler's production somehow, and I don't think they've really done so in the right manner. So that's where my red flag comes in. I think the Royals, this record is based on their offense more so than their pitching. The AL West in first place, I have with the record of 93-69, the Seattle Mariners. Yes, I have the Mariners winning this division for the first time in a long time. I think that they're here. They have arrived. They were good last year. They're going to be better this year. They have a really good manager. I love their offense. They made additions and via trade with Adam Frazier from Pittsburgh and Eugenio Suarez and Jesse Winker coming over from the Reds to add to their young core. Jared Kalenic should be better. Julio Rodriguez is starting the year with the team, which is great news. And Mitch Haniger is a good player. Their rotation, I think, is going to be good. Maybe they trade for somebody to strengthen their rotation. They bring in Robbie Ray as a free agent. Logan Gilbert, I think, will be better, too. Marco Gonzalez is a steady pitcher. Like, if you get him on the right day, then he'll provide you a good performance. And then bullpen-wise, there are some guys that they could switch on and off out of the rotation and into the pen, like Eric Swanson. Ken Giles and Diego Castillo, both in close games for him. I think it'll probably be Giles. Sergio Romo's a good reliever, too. So this team is sneakily deep, and I think could make a move at the deadline to become even more dangerous. In second place in this division, I have the record of 83-79, the Houston Astros. I think this is the biggest disappointment this year in Major League Baseball. They lost Carlos Correa. Jeremy Pena is such an unknown. Everyone's penciling him in like he's going to be Carlos Correa. He's not. My God, he's not Carlos Correa, and he's not even going to come close to Carlos Correa, and he's not even a top 100 baseball or prospect in all of baseball. I'm not sold on Jeremy Pena being awesome. Maybe he will be one day, and I'm wrong, but I don't think he's going to be great. They're relying on him to be great. But I'll tell you who is great. Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve. Oh, and so is Yordan Alvarez. Michael Brantley's a good role player. Martin Maldonado is a good defensive catcher. I don't think Justin Verlander is going to be the same coming off the injury. Plus, he's old. Everyone talks about Clayton Kershaw. He's old. Adam Wainwright's old. So is Justin Verlander. He's old. Zach Greinke's gone. And then from a bullpen standpoint, I do like their closer, Ryan Presley. And I do like the guys that they got from the Mariners last year with Kendall Graveman and I'm blanking on the other player that they got. Oh, Kendall Graveman's on the team anymore. I thought he was. Kendall Graveman is on the White Sox. So that is a phenomenal get for Chicago. I really thought that he was still on Houston for some reason. Neris is on this team. Hector Neris is on this team now. Their bullpen's still okay. Ryan Stanek's not bad. And then they have guys that are going to flip from rotation to bullpen in Jose Urquidy and Framber Valdez. And Lance McCullers Jr. will be back at some point as well, as he will miss the start of the season due to the flexor tendon. So I think the Astros are in a little bit more trouble than people think because of the losses of Greinke and Correa and the fact that McCullers isn't starting the year with the right away. And then Verlander, I don't think, is going to be the same. In third place, I have the record of 78-84, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Here resides the two best players in baseball, in Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. They're awesome. Anthony Rendon's awesome. The rest of the team is not. Jared Walsh will have the same year as he did last year. There's some other guys that they're relying on. Joe Adell, will he break through? And their pitching staff is subpar, other than Ohtani. I do like their closer in Rafael Iglesias. Reed Detmers is expected to make a jump. Mike Myers, they like a lot. Will Noah Syndergaard revert to his Early Mets days? I don't know. I wouldn't bank on it. Number 4 in this division, I have with a record of 70-92, the Texas Rangers. I like this Texas team in terms of where they could futurely go, but I'm not sold on them this season. They do bring in 2 big free agents, Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, to go with Nate Lowe and Andy Ibanez. And Ibanez, by the way, is just a placeholder for Josh Jung, who they're waiting for to arrive. Mitch Garver was brought in from Minnesota. Their outfield's not great with Willie and Cole Calhoun. And Adolis Garcia, I don't mind him. He was okay last year. Starting pitching-wise, they brought in John Gray as a free agent. They're banking on Spencer Howard, Taylor Hearn, Dan Dunning to all break through this season. We'll see about that. And then bullpen-wise, they have some options to close. Joe Barlow slated to be their closer. Albert Abreu and Colby Allard, I think, are guys that can have impacts in their pen as well. And in the cellar of this division, with a record of 60-102, the Oakland Athletics, this team is just truly terrible. They trade away Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Sean Manaea, Chris Bassett, you name it. Literally everyone's gone. Next out the door will be Frankie Montauk. Somebody's going to get him. Sean Murphy maybe too, but maybe they want to build around Sean Murphy. They did get some good players back in the Olsen trade that they can build around, like Christian Pache and Shea Langeliers. But the other returns have been underwhelming from San Diego and Toronto in those trades. And even the Mets return for Bassett I thought was a little underwhelming. Steven Piscotty, they really need a big year for him, and they can flip him into more pieces for the future, potentially too. Guys like A.J. Puke and James Caprilli, where do they fit on this team? Are they future rotation guys or bullpen guys? Lou Trevino can net them back something. Also on this roster still is Cole Irvin, who's a veteran that I think could fetch them back something as well. The NL East, I have winning this division with a record of 96-66, the Atlanta Braves. The Braves won the World Series a year ago. It'd be silly to not pick them to win their division. Matt Olson replaces Freddie Freeman at first base, and they get Ronald Acuna Jr. back and healthy this season, which makes their team a little bit better. I think the Freeman-Olson thing's a little bit of a wash from a statistics standpoint, but from a leadership standpoint, it's a downgrade. There's other guys that I think are going to be great on this team, like Austin Riley. And then their starting pitching, I think they could use somebody else with some of the injuries. Mike Soroka, when's he going to come back? I like Max Fried a lot. Charlie Morton was a great veteran ad for them last year. Their bullpen, they bring in Kenley Jansen from the Dodgers, so that's a little bit of a ballsy move by them. Will Smith's still there. Darren O'Day's decent in the bullpen. Colin McHugh's had some moments. Tyler Matzek's had some moments. So they're pretty stacked, Atlanta. In second place in this division, I have with a record of 90-72, the New York Mets. It's unfortunate for them is that Jacob deGrom is dealing with the injury that he'll be out 2 months, it looks like. They still have Max Scherzer. That was one of the best signings of the winter. And now he will be their opening day starter in all likelihood against his former team, so that'd be pretty cool. Then Chris Bassett was a good add to their rotation as well from a depth standpoint. They're banking on Francisco Lindor to have a bounce-back season. I love Peter Alonso in terms of a power hitter. I think he's a little bit of a lazy defensive player, but he still has that power game that everybody loves. Starling Marte, decent addition offensively. They added Eduardo Escobar for depth. Their deep team, J.D. Davis, is going to be a bench guy for them. Jeff McNeil's decent. Robinson Cano returns from his suspension. So a lot of variables with the Mets. And then their bullpen, Edwin Diaz, I don't trust him in the ninth inning. He's been a terrible Met. So maybe they could use somebody in the bullpen. And they made that trade with the Yankees for lefty Joely Rodriguez, as they sent Miguel Castro to their crosstown rivals. So that'll help their bullpen from a balance standpoint. In third place, I have, with the record, I'm going to change this one on the fly, only because I'm going to change a couple of these on the fly, only because of just more self-convincing. I have now with a record of 83-79, finishing in third in this division, is the Philadelphia Phillies. I think the Phillies have potential to make the postseason this year. Joe Girardi's under some pressure with this team to come through. Bryce Harper, too. They add Nicholas Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber to that offense. Rhys Hoskins is a good player. Alec Boone, when's he going to come through? JT Realmuto, best catcher in the game. They have a good starting duo in their rotation with Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. And their bullpen, they have Brad Hand and they have Corey Knebel in there. Two decent relievers. In fourth place, I have with a record of 68-94, the Washington Nationals. I initially had them in the 70s, but I dropped them a couple wins because of I realized how bad this team really is. They're just truly awful. Juan Soto and Josh Bell are the only competent offensive players in that lineup from a position standpoint. Nelson Cruz is brought in as a DH. Maybe he's traded at the deadline. I don't think he's the same player anymore. Rotation, Patrick Corbin's going to be starting for them on opening day. Will he bounce back? Steven Strasburg coming off the injury. For some reason, I excluded him off my top pitchers list, and I felt ashamed about that. But I forgot he was hurt. So they have questions everywhere, and their closer this year is slated to be Tanner Rainey, who stinks. And in the Celtics division, I have the record of 65-95, the Miami Marlins. The reason why I have them this low is the same for the Royals. It's the lack of truly great offensive talent. I know the Royals have Bobby Witt Jr. and Sal Perez, but they don't have much around them. Miami is arguably worse than that. Jorge Soler was brought in, but I don't like the fit. That's a big ballpark for him to try to pop him out in. Maybe his good stats will come in like Citi Field and Philadelphia and some of their road games. They have decent pitching. I like Sandy Alcantara. I like Pablo Lopez. I really do like their pitching staff. It's pretty good. And then they have some decent relievers. They acquired the two Orioles pitchers in Tanner Scott and Cole Sulser. Their closer looks like it'll be Dylan Floro. Richard Blyer's not bad either. The NL Central, winning this division, I have the record of 95-67. The Milwaukee Brewers. I like the Brewers a lot. They're really good. I think people are sleeping on this team. Christian Yelich is primed for a bounce back season. I think that they are not not offensively depth. They need more depth offensively. I'm not saying they're offensively challenged either, but I think they need more offensively. I think they have the assets to make trades. Pitching-wise, they're fantastic. I love Corbin Burns. I love Brandon Woodruff. Adrian Hauser's good. Freddie Peralta's not bad either. Their bullpen's loaded. Josh Hader's still around. Devin Williams, I think, is hurt to start the year, but he's awesome. He won the Rookie of the Year in the COVID year. In second in this division, I have the record of 87-75, the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals, been there, done that. They'll continue that model. They're the model franchise in Major League Baseball. They're the Patriots. They're the Spurs. You just pencil them in to be good almost every year. They have a new manager. This is literally the last hurrah, and it's cool that they brought back Albert Pujols. So Adam Wainwright likely to retire after the year, and Yadier Molina is going to retire at the end of the year. So one last hurrah with those three veterans all together. And then they have two veterans on their corner infields that are awesome, in Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. Pitching-wise, Jack Flaherty, I think, is hurt to start the year, but he's awesome. Alex Reyes, when he comes back from injury, where does he go? Bullpen-wise, Giovanni Gallegos is still their closer. Andrew Miller retired. In third in this division, I have the record of 74-88, the Chicago Cubs. The reason why I have their record a little bit better than what they should be is because of who's behind them in their division that is supposed to be truly awful in the Reds and the Pirates. So, I really think that the Cubs are very interesting this year in terms of what they can potentially do at the deadline. Kyle Hendricks is still around. They have some veterans in a rotation. Drew Smyly's there now. So is Wade Miley. I think those guys in the same rotation is actually kind of funny. Offensively, Seiya Suzuki is the buzz of spring training. Everyone and their brother is penciling him in for the NL Rookie of the Year award. Wilson Contreras, what's his future with the team? Well, guys like Patrick Wisdom repeat the years that they had last year. A lot of questions with the Cubs. And then their closer this year is slated to be David Robertson, the former Yankee. In the fourth place spot in the NL Central with a record of 65-95, the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds, this should be 65-97. That's my mistake. I screwed that up. Yeah, 65-97, I have the Reds. I knew something was wrong from a math standpoint there. The Reds lost a lot of guys in free agency and traded a lot of guys away. Sonny Gray's gone. And will Luis Castillo be the next Reds pitcher out the door? Tyler Mahle could be had too. Offensively, they have Mike Moustakas still around. Tyler Stevenson's a solid young catcher. And around the team, they really don't have anybody that's really marketable. So they might be the the NL version of the Athletics in the sense that they're just going to trade guys away. And in the Celtics division, I have with a record of 55-107, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh, I think, is the worst team in the league again coming into the season. They trade away Jacob Stallings. Brian Reynolds could be next. They have a young emerging star in Brian Hayes, who I really like a lot. O'Neal Cruz is a player that I really like that they have that could be young and marketable for them going forward too. Rotation-wise, Mitch Keller's in a make-or-break situation potentially with this team. They get Zach Thompson from the Marlins in the Stallings deal. Jose Quintana could be trade bait. And in their bullpen, they have some guys that I think could be had in trades as well. In the NL West, I have the record of 105 and 50. 105 and 57. The Los Angeles Dodgers. Come on now. This is easily the best team in baseball. They add Freddie Freeman to an already stacked lineup featuring Max Muncy, Will Smith, Trey Turner, Justin Turner, Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts, you name it. Rotation, Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw. I think the wild card here is Trevor Bauer, whether he comes back or not. Bullpen, though, Craig Kimbrell replaces Lee Jansen. I think that might be an upgrade for them. Blake Triton's in the bullpen. Tommy Kahnle, will we see him this year? They signed Dylan Betances to a minor league deal. So they're stacked everywhere on this roster. In second place in this division, I have with a record of 88 and 74, the San Diego Padres. I like the Padres this year. They have an upgraded manager at Bob Melvin. they really have some star power. Fernando Tatis Jr., when will he be back from injury? Will C.J. Abrams see some playing time this year in the big show? Manny Machado is a solid third baseman. Luis Campisano, is he big league ready at the catcher position? Trent Grisham, underrated player. Eric Hosmer and Will Myers are guys that I think that San Diego wants to get rid of because they don't think they're productive all-star worthy players because San Diego wants to be like the Dodgers in all retrospects and aspects of the game. Pitching-wise, they add Sean Manaea to go with Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, and Blake Snell. Chris Paddock, is he with the Padres long-term? That's a big question. Mackenzie Gore, will we see him this year? So a lot of questions with the Padres. And for their closer spot, that is occupied by Robert Suarez, who really doesn't have great projected stats. Maybe they tried Gore out in the closer spot. Pierce Johnson, not a bad reliever. Maybe Pagan's had some closing experience. Craig Stammen's a valuable guy as well in terms of relievers. In third place in this division, I have the record of 79 and 83. The San Francisco Giants, I think they take a major step back. I think last year was a fluke. Every year you see in baseball or in sports, a team that's awesome or a notch below awesome take a major step back. A good example of this is the Red Sox. 2013, they won the World Series, won over 100 games, and then they finished in last and were a dumpster fire. So I don't think the Giants are going to be a complete dumpster fire, but they'll be disappointing to say the least. They lose Kevin Gossman. They pick up Alex Cobb. They also have Alex Wood. They have Logan Webb, who broke onto the scenes last year, who a lot of people like in that rotation. We'll see what else they could provide. Their closer last year broke onto the scenes. Emilio Duvall, will he be good again? And offensively, Buster Posey retires. They lose a lot from a leadership standpoint. They still have the Brandons intact with Brandon Crawford and Brandon Belt at short and first respectively. Will Joey Bart break out? There's a lot of questions with the Giants, I think, this year. In fourth place in this division, I have the record of 71 and 91, the Colorado Rockies. They'll be better than people think with the addition of Chris Bryant. So I think he's an offensive upgrade over Trevor Story from a lineup standpoint, but from a defensive standpoint, no. They're picking out a lot of guys to break out this year, like Brendan Rodgers. They have C.J. Cron, who I think can be trade bait. They really like this kid, Connor Joe. And rotation-wise, Herman Marquez, will he be better? Will Kyle Freeland be better? They lose John Gray. Antonio Santatello is an inning center. You can see him in relief and in the rotation. And they have some decent relievers on the team as well. And in the cellar in this division, I have the record of 64-98, the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think the Diamondbacks are a little bit of a mess. Madison Bumgarner was one of the more bust free agent signings we've had over the last decade. He's just not the same pitcher anymore. Zach Gallen, will he rebound? They have a good closer, Mark Melancon. I think they can flip him at the deadline. Offensively, they have some youth. I like Dalton Varsho, Pavin Smith. Did one of them break out? Kaytel Marte is a star, and he's the only marketable star on that team. All right, so there you have it for the standings. Now we're going to do playoffs. The wild card series. You have the 6-seed Twins against the 3-seed Mariners. I have the Mariners over the Twins in 3 games. In the American League, 5-seed Yankees, 4-seed Rays. I have the Yankees over the Rays in 3 games. National League, I have the 6th seed being the Cardinals, the 3 seed being the Brewers. I have Brewers over Cardinals in a sweep, 2 games. my 4th seed in the National League, I have the Mets, and the 5th seed I have the Padres, and I have the Mets over the Padres in 3 games. Division series. I have the Blue Jays playing the Yankees, and I have the Blue Jays beating the Yankees in 4 games. And I have the 2 seed being the White Sox, and I have them beating the Mariners in 4 games. And then on the other side in the National League, I have the Dodgers, the 1 seed, and the Mets as the 4 seed. I have Dodgers over Mets in 5. In the National League, I have the 2 seed being the Braves and the 3 seed being the Brewers, but I have the Brewers beating the Braves in 5 games. Championship Series, American League, I have the Blue Jays over the White Sox in 6 games and the Dodgers over the Brewers in 7 games in a rematch from 2018. And the World Series, Dodgers, Blue Jays, great series. I think everyone and their brother probably has this as the World Series, and rightfully so. This is a deserving matchup. We have a lot of stars. The difference here, I think, is the depth of the pitching staff of the Dodgers and the versatility that they have with their pitching staff and in their lineup. The DH, the full-time, will help the Dodgers. I don't think that Jordan Romano is built for a moment like this. Craig Kimbrell, I've seen come through in moments like this. I think the Dodgers over the Blue Jays in 6 games. If I had to pick a World Series MVP, let's go with Mookie Betts, who this would be his 3rd ring, because he won with the Red Sox in 18, the Dodgers in 20, and now it would be the Dodgers in 22. All right, awards for the season. We'll start in the American League. In the MVP, I have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. from the Blue Jays. Vlad should have won it last year, but the two-way player prevailed with Ohtani, but winning matters when it comes to MVP for me, so Vlad Guerrero Jr. is the pick. My runner-up will be Mike Trout, because he will be back and better than ever. Cy Young, I'm going to pick Garrett Cole of the Yankees. I think he's the only truly great pitcher in the American League. My runner-up is Lucas Giolito, who I think could become that for them this year. My Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with Julio Rodriguez of the Mariners, made the opening day roster, which made me convince myself to change my pick, who originally was Spencer Torkelson of the Tigers, who's now my runner-up. Manager of the Year, I'm going to go with Rocco Baldelli of the Twins. I think the Twins have a turnaround year, take advantage of a weak AL Central. They'll emerge from the pack. And the runner-up for me, Charlie Montoyo of the Blue Jays. I have them with the best record in the American League. Comeback Player of the Year, I'm going to go with Mike Trout of the Angels. He's Mike Trout. Next runner-up, Dallas Keuchel, White Sox. I think he'll have a big bounce-back year in Chicago. And the Mariano Rivera Award going to the best reliever. I'm going to say that goes to New York Yankees closer Aroldis Chapman. National League MVP, I'm going to go with Mookie Betts of the Dodgers. He's a MVP-worthy player, and I think he's getting a little forgotten about because they added Freddie Freeman. And my runner-up, Juan Soto, Washington Nationals. Cy Young, I'm going to go with Max Fried of the Braves. I think Max Fried is primed for a big season. And being the dog in Atlanta, the lead dog in that rotation, I think that he'll rack up a lot of wins and continue to pitch like a monster. And my runner-up, Walker Buehler of the Dodgers, who I think is a horse in that rotation. My Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with a different pick. I'm going to go with Nolan Gorman of the Cardinals. He's going to get an opportunity in that lineup, which is a little bit weaker than you may think. He's a highly touted prospect. I think he could have a similar year as Jonathan India for the Reds last year. And my runner-up is Hunter Green of the Reds, who I think will be a flamethrower in that rotation. My Manager of the Year in the National League, I'm going with Bob Melvin of the Padres. Change of scenery for Bob, and he'll turn around the team that has been a perennial underachiever over the last decade plus. And then runner-up, I'm going with Oliver Marmol of the Cardinals, the new man in town for St. Louis. My Comeback Player of the Year in the National League, I'm going with Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves. That's an obvious one. And my runner-up is Mike Clevenger of the Padres, who I think will have a larger impact in that rotation than some may expect. And the Trevor Hoffman Award in the National League, I'm going to go with Josh Hader of the Milwaukee Brewers. All right, superlatives, we're going to try to be quick here. Best rookies. Arizona, Seth Beer. Atlanta, Spencer Strider. Baltimore, Adley Rutschman. Boston, Tristan Casas. Chicago, Seiya Suzuki. White Sox, Bennett Sousa. Reds, Hunter Green. Guardians, Cody Morris. Colorado, Ryan Volati. Detroit, Spencer Torkelson. Houston, Peter Solomon. Kansas City, Bobby Witt Jr. LA Angels, Reed Denver's LA Dodgers. Andre Jackson. Miami, Sixto Sanchez. Milwaukee, Ethan Spall. Minnesota, Joe Ryan. New York Mets, Eric Orz. New York Yankees, Luis Gil. Oakland, Christian Pache. Philadelphia, Matt Verling. Pittsburgh, O'Neal Cruz. San Diego, Luis Campusano. Seattle, Matt Barsh. San Francisco, Joey Bart's still considered a rookie? Is that for real? That's ridiculous if he is. He's not a rookie. Let's see this. Is Joey Bart still a rookie? Like, that's impossible. I feel like he's been in the league for 3 years. He is. That's insane that Joey Bart still is considered a rookie. St. Louis, Nolan Gorman. Tampa Bay, Shane Baz. Texas, Josh Jung. Toronto, Gabriel Moreno. And Washington, Cade Cavalli. Next up, most improved / breakout player for every team. Arizona, Dalton Varsho. And by the way, this is non-rookies. Atlanta, Kyle Wright. Baltimore, Tyler Wells. Boston, Tanner Houck. Chicago Cubs, Nick Madrigal. Chicago White Sox, Andrew Vaughn. Cincinnati, Tyler Stevenson. Cleveland, Tristan McKenzie. Colorado, Brendan Rodgers. Detroit, Casey Mize. Houston, Christian Javier. Kansas City, Brady Singer. LA Angels, Joe Adele. LA Dodgers, Gavin Lux. Miami, Trevor Rogers. Milwaukee, Rowdy Tellez. Minnesota, Alex Kirilloff. New York Mets, Tyler McGill. New York Yankees, Isaiah Kaner-Falefa. Oakland, Sean Murphy. Philadelphia, Ranger Suarez. Pittsburgh, Brian Hayes. San Diego, Trent Grisham. Seattle, Jared Kelenic. San Francisco, Logan Webb. St. Louis, Dylan Carlson. Tampa Bay, Wander Franco. Texas, Dane Dunning. Toronto, Alejandro Kirk. And Washington, Keibert Ruiz. Next up, disappointment players. Players who I think will be disappointments to their teams this year. Arizona, Madison Bumgarner. Atlanta, Marcelo Ozuna. Baltimore, Cedric Mullins. Boston, Nathan Eovaldi. Chicago Cubs, Marcus Stroman. Chicago White Sox, A.J. Pollock. Cincinnati, Joey Votto. Cleveland, Jose Ramirez. Colorado, Charlie Blackmon. Detroit, Javier Baez. Houston, Justin Verlander. Kansas City, Carlos Santana. LA Angels, Jared Walsh. LA Dodgers, Andrew Heaney. Miami, Jorge Soler. Milwaukee, Freddie Peralta. Minnesota, Giovanni Urshela. New York Mets, Starling Marte. New York Yankees, Kyle Higashioka. Oakland, Cole Irvin. Philadelphia, Kyle Gibson. Pittsburgh, Zach Thompson. San Diego, Eric Hosmer. Seattle, Robbie Ray. San Francisco, Alex Wood. St. Louis, Adam Wainwright. Tampa Bay, Mike Zunino. Texas, Marcus Semien. Toronto, Yusei Kikuchi. And Washington, Nelson Cruz. Next up, bounce back, comeback players. Either you're coming back from an injury or you're bouncing back from a disappointing season or something in that realm. Arizona, Zach Gallen. Atlanta, Ronald Acuna Jr. Baltimore, Rougned Odor. Boston, Jackie Bradley Jr. Chicago Cubs, Kyle Hendricks. Chicago White Sox, Dallas Keuchel. Cincinnati, Mike Moustakas. Cleveland, Zach Plesac. Colorado, German Marquez. Detroit, Austin Meadows. Houston, Martin Maldonado. Kansas City, Brad Keller. LA Angels, Mike Trout. LA Dodgers, Cody Bellinger. Miami Marlins, Brian Anderson. Milwaukee, Christian Yelich. Minnesota, Gary Sanchez. New York Mets, Francisco Lindor. New York Yankees, DJ LeMahieu. Oakland, Stephen Piscotty. Philadelphia, Aaron Nola. Pittsburgh, Daniel Vogelbach. San Diego, Luke Voigt. Seattle, Eugenio Suarez. San Francisco, Tommy La Stella. St. Louis, Paul DeJong. Tampa Bay, Ryan Yarbrough. Texas, Mitch Garver. Toronto, Matt Chapman. And Washington, Patrick Corbin. Make or break players. Teams that have players with make or break seasons, whether that's because you haven't broke out as a young player yet, or there's a hot prospect raging behind you, or you're, like I said, a player that hasn't really broke through yet. And say if you're on a good team and they want to trade for somebody that could potentially replace you. All right, so here we go. Arizona, Christian Walker. Atlanta, Dansby Swanson. Baltimore, Jordan Lyles. Boston, Bobby Dahlbeck. Chicago, Nico Horner. Chicago White Sox, Michael Kopech. Cincinnati, Colin Moran. Cleveland, Andre Jimenez. Colorado, Kyle Freeland. Detroit, Jaime Candelario. Houston, Jake Odorizzi. Kansas City, Adalberto Mondesi. LA Angels, Noah Syndergaard. LA Dodgers, David Price. Miami, Jesus Luzardo. Milwaukee, Keston Hiura. Minnesota, Ryan Jeffers. New York Mets, James McCann. New York Yankees, Gleyber Torres. Oakland, James Kaprielian. Philadelphia, Didi Gregorius. Pittsburgh, Mitch Keller. San Diego, Chris Paddock. Seattle, Justice Sheffield. San Francisco, Darren Ruff. St. Louis, Miles Mikolas. Tampa Bay, Jai-Man Choi. Texas, Cole Calhoun. Toronto, Kayvon Biggio. And Washington, Carter Kieboom. All right, now the All-Star teams. I love picking the All-Star teams from before the season. It's a lot of fun. American League starters. At catcher, I have Salvador Perez. First base, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Second base, Jose Altuve. Shortstop, Wander Franco. Third base, Rafael Devers. And left, I have Joey Gallo. In center, Mike Trout. In right, I have Aaron Judge. And my DH is Shohei Ohtani. Reserves. Yasmani Grandal. Ryan Mountcastle. Brandon Love. Carlos Correa. Alex Bregman. Mitch Haniger, Luis Robert, Kyle Tucker, Giancarlo Stanton, JD Martinez, Jose Abreu, Corey Seager. American League pitchers. Starting the game, I'm picking Garrett Cole. The rest of the starters, Shane Bieber, Jose Barrios, Casey Mize, Frankie Montauk, Lucas Giolito. Relievers, Aroldis Chapman, Jordan Romano, Emmanuel Clace, Kendall Graveman, Drew Stickenrider, and Michael Fulmer. National League starters, I have JT Realmuto at catcher. At first, I have Freddie Freeman. At second, Kaytel Marte. Shortstop, Fernando Tatis Jr. At third, Nolan Arenado. In left, Chris Bryant. In center, Cody Bellinger. In right, Juan Soto. In the DH, Max Muncy. Reserves, Wilson Contreras, Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, Francisco Lindor, Brian Hayes, Christian Yelich, Mike Yastrzemski, Ronald Acuna Jr., Kyle Schwarber, Mike Moustakas, Bryce Harper, Mookie Betts. National League pitchers. Starting the game, I'm going with Walker Buehler. And then the rest, Max Scherzer, Trevor Rogers, Corbin Burns, Yu Darvish, Max Fried. And relievers, I have Josh Hader, Mark Melancon, Blake Trinan, Tyler Rogers, Craig Stammen, and Devin Williams. Next up, bold prediction for each team. This is one of my favorite ones to do in these prediction shows, because not all these come into fruition. Arizona, I have them trading Zach Gallen to the New York Yankees for righty Clark Schmidt, righty Yoendrys Gomez, outfielder Brandon Lockridge, and third baseman Miguel Andujar. Maybe the Yankees need some depth at starting pitching, and Arizona takes advantage of Gallen's trade value. The Atlanta Braves acquired Zach Greinke from the Kansas City Royals for lefty Kyle Muller and righty Spencer Schwellenbach. I think Greinke will be good enough to be traded, so the Royals can get something back for him. And I like the fit of Greinke on the Champs. Baltimore, Adley Rutschman will be among the top 5 in catchers in home runs. I like this pick a lot. I almost went with RBIs too, but he doesn't have that much protection in the lineup, so I think there could be a lot of solo shots in there. Boston, Tristan Casas will be up before the All-Star break. I like this pick a lot. I don't like Bobby Dahlbeck a lot. He really hasn't shown much. Or maybe Dahlbeck's used in a trade. The Chicago Cubs, this one hurts, but I think that this organization might jump the gun on this. I think that this is it for David Ross. I think he's fired after the season. I think the Cubs are going to falsely think that they're going to be good, and he's the fall guy. The Chicago White Sox acquire C.J. Cron from the Colorado Rockies for third baseman Jake Burger, outfielder Miker Alfredo, and righty Jimmy Lambert. Just a depth move for Chicago so they could platoon him and Jose Abreu at first and DH. Cincinnati Reds trade Mike Moustakas to the Milwaukee Brewers for shortstop Freddie Zamora, outfielder Carlos Rodriguez, and righty Dylan File. Moustakas back to his old team, and I think that he could benefit from being back in Milwaukee. The Cleveland Indians. The Guardians trade Jose Ramirez to the Tampa Bay Rays for infielder Yandy Diaz, outfielder Josh Lau, Infielder Xavier Edwards and right-handed pitcher Nick Bitsko. I think that the Rays will do like a little bit of an FU to Toronto, who badly wants Jose Ramirez. He provides an upgrade at third over Yandy Diaz, so I think the Rays might go for it. The Colorado Rockies. Chris Bryant leads the National League in home runs. I like this pick a lot. Being in Coors Field, I think he's going to rake. The Detroit Tigers. Casey Mize makes the All-Star team. I love Casey Mize. I think that he's going to really be a huge breakout star this year for the Tigers. The Houston Astros will miss the postseason as the Carlos Correa absence, the decline of Justin Verlander, and other issues loom. So I told you earlier, there's usually a couple good teams that miss the playoffs altogether that people think are good and they turn out to be not good. And I believe that the Astros are one of those teams. They lose Carlos Correa, lose Zach Greinke, and I don't think Justin Verlander is the same. The Kansas City Royals. Bobby Witt Jr. will not be a Rookie of the Year finalist. Everyone loves Bobby Witt Jr., eyes to eye, but I think that 3 other rookies will have better years than him. Adley Rutschman, Spencer Torkelson, and Julio Rodriguez. I think it'll be close, but Bobby Witt will have a good year, but not as good as those other 3 players. Los Angeles Angels. Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout combined for over 80 home runs. I think that's a good one. Assuming none of them gets hurt. Los Angeles Dodgers. 5 players will have 30 or more home runs. Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts, Max Muncy, Freddie Freeman, and Trey Turner. And maybe even Justin Turner too, but I'm going to say Trey Turner. The Miami Marlins. They trade Richard Blyer to the Chicago White Sox for righty Jared Kelly and lefty Bennett Sosa. I think Bennett Sosa pitched well enough for the White Sox to be an asset in a trade. Blyer will help them. Milwaukee will acquire Kaytel Marte from the Arizona Diamondbacks for infielder Keston Hiura, outfielder Sal Frelick, lefty Antoine Kelly, and righty Cam Robinson. I love this potential trade. Kaytel Marte is a great player. Milwaukee needs somebody like him that's versatile and can play a lot of positions. And I think that he would help Christian Yelich in that lineup. The Minnesota Twins. Gary Sanchez will have his best year in 5 seasons. I believe that his batting average will go up to be being in a better hitter's ballpark with a lot of space. The shift will be banned, which will benefit him, I think. But his power numbers, I don't know if he'll be as good as they were in New York. But he'll hit more for average in a big ballpark. The New York Mets. Max Scherzer will have an ERA over 2.7. I could see him getting off to a good start and then falling off a little bit. I think he'll settle at 2.8, 2.85 or something like that. New York Yankees. Aaron Judge will be in the top 5 in the American League in home runs, RBIs, batting average, WAR, slugging, and OPS. And I don't have him top 2 in the MVP. I have him finishing in 3rd. And then Shohei Ohtani will be 4th. Oakland will trade Frankie Montauk to the Minnesota Twins for infielder Jose Miranda, righty Simeon Woods Richardson, and lefty Steve Hajar. I like that deal a lot for both sides. Oakland gets a potential blue chipper in Miranda and a good pitcher in Woods Richardson. And then Montas goes to Minnesota. Good fit with him. He'll be a Sonny Gray and Joe Ryan in that rotation. Philadelphia will fire Joe Girardi at the end of the year. I don't like this prediction in terms of being a Yankees fan and how much success Joe Girardi's had with that franchise. But they never have broken through, and the National League's loaded. And I don't think they're better than the Padres. I don't think they're better than the Mets. They could take advantage of the Mets' injury situations. I don't think they're better than Atlanta. They're certainly not better than the Dodgers. They're not better than Milwaukee. I don't think they're better than the Cardinals. So I just rattle off 6 teams right there. And somebody's going to have to be the fall guy for it. And Dave Dombrowski did not hire Joe Girardi. Pittsburgh trades Heath Hembree to the New York Mets for outfielder Khalil Lee, righty Robert Dominguez, and infielder Jose Peroza. I like this deal for the Mets. Heath Hembree's a solid reliever, and I think Khalil Lee could be a good potential building block for Pittsburgh going forward if he lives up the hype. The San Diego Padres acquire Lou Trevino from the Oakland Athletics for lefty Robert Gasser, righty Kevin Kopps, and outfielder Daniel Montesino. I like this a lot for San Diego. They get a guy that's had some success before, and I think he'll be even more successful in a big ballpark like San Diego. The Seattle Mariners will acquire Tyler Mahle from the Cincinnati Reds for righty Emerson Hancock, outfielder Gabriel Gonzalez, and righty Michael Morales. Hancock is a nice piece to get back in the trade if you're Cincinnati. But Seattle, I feel like, is a win-now team, and they could sacrifice some young talent to get some veteran guys in there to help them. And I like the idea of Mahle in the big ballpark like Seattle. The San Francisco Giants not only missed the postseason, but will finish sub 500. I mentioned this earlier while doing the standings predictions. We see teams that either are awesome or good take a huge step back and finish under 500, let alone miss the playoffs when we don't expect it. We saw it with the Red Sox in 2014. We saw it in basketball this season with the Knicks, although the Knicks and the Giants, I think, are similar. Nobody thought of them as big contenders, but they took a big step back, and now the Knicks are going to be in the lottery again. I think San Francisco is going to be sub 500. I just don't think they're as good as they were last year. And there's always that team that, like I said, disappoints out of nowhere, and I feel like it's going to be Houston and San Francisco, and arguably Philadelphia, but Philadelphia really hasn't had the success that Houston has had the last several years and San Francisco had last year with Gabe Kapler. The St. Louis Cardinals acquired Dylan Floro from the Miami Marlins for righty Tink Hence and righty Jake Walsh. I like Floro. Good addition to bolster that bullpen in St. Louis. Tampa Bay. Wander Franco starts in the All-Star game. The American League has some good shortstops. Bo Bichette's in there. You have Javier Baez in there now. Carlos Correa is a good shortstop, but it's going to be Wander Franco that starts in the American League All-Star game. The Texas Rangers, Josh Jung will be up before Memorial Day. I think Andy Ibanez is among one of the worst position players in all of baseball. They're just dying for Josh Jung, and he'll be up before the Memorial Day holiday. The Toronto Blue Jays acquire Steve Chiswick from the Washington Nationals for righty Bowden Francis and righty Hayden Junger. Chiswick will bolster that bullpen. I think he'd be a good 7th or 8th inning guy behind Jordan Romano. And Washington will trade Josh Bell to the Tampa Bay Rays for first baseman Curtis Speed, righty Cole Wilcox, and righty J.J. Doss. I think Bell will have a big year to the point where somebody's going to overpay for him in the trade. I think the Rays will go all in this year, redo their corner infield with Josh Bell and Jose Ramirez to go with Wander Franco and Randy Arozarena in that lineup. So I love that potential trade for the Tampa Bay Rays. And in Washington just loads up on some assets as they begin to tank. All right, last but not least, some miscellaneous things for the season. We all know the Ewing theory. It's Bill Simmons' thing that he started when the Knicks made the finals without Patrick Ewing. He called it the Ewing theory, but the Knicks lost. This came into fruition in baseball several years ago. Bryce Harper left the Nationals to go to Philadelphia, and then the Nationals won the World Series the year after he left. The Eagles won the NFC East. Carson Wentz tears his ACL in the tail end of the season. They go on to win the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. So those are the two guys that the theory has worked for. And then this past year, it worked again, the Ewing theory with an injury. Ronald Acuna removed from the Braves, and then they still went on to win the World Series. So it worked for Acuna last year. But will it work again with Freddie Freeman? They lose a leader. They lose their franchise player. But they replace him with somebody good in Matt Olson. But how much will they miss Freeman's leadership? Boston, Chris Sale, he's always hurt. Are they better without Chris Sale? I'd say no, even though they made the LCS without him last year. The Chicago Cubs, there's 3 guys on here. Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, Javier Baez. They're not better without those guys. The Chicago White Sox, Garrett Crochet, that's a big injury for them. Cincinnati, Nicholas Castellanos, he leaves as a free agent. Colorado, Trevor Story. Are they better without Trevor Story? Chris Bryant's there now, but I don't know if they're any better. The Houston Astros, Carlos Correa, that's an obvious one. Los Angeles Dodgers, Kenley Jansen. Is their bullpen better without Kenley Jansen? Minnesota, Josh Donaldson. Yankees, this is a good one. Gary Sanchez. Will this team be better without his lazy defense? Oakland, there's 3, just like the Cubs. Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Sean Manaea. They're not better without those guys. Pittsburgh, Jacob Stallings. I don't think they're better without Jacob Stallings. San Francisco, are they better without Kevin Gossman? From a rotation standpoint, probably not, even though they did bring in Alex Cobb. I don't think Alex Cobb's that good. Tampa Bay, Tyler Glasnow. This could be a good one, too, if things break right for the Rays again. And this is also a good one. Toronto, Robbie Ray, who won the AL Cy Young last year. They bring in Kevin Gossman, who I don't think is any great compared to Robbie Ray. I think Robbie Ray is much better than Kevin Gossman. And the miscellaneous predictions, there will be no major COVID outbreaks, but some games may get postponed due to a couple of cases here and there. If, say, for example, Memorial Day weekend, people are going to parties and cases go up. 4th of July, Labor Day, and even Easter to some degree, too. So those are like the 4 big holidays during the Major League Baseball season, especially those ones that take place in the summer. Multiple players suspended for PEDs. We see this every year. We'll see who gets knocked this year. The National League finally wins the All-Star game. We haven't seen that since 2012. It'll finally happen. Max Muncy wins the Home Run Derby. It's in Los Angeles, so I just picked the Dodger. No managers fired during the season. I think that all the managers are happy that I predict that. And the last one, 6 no-hitters. We're going to pick 6 pitchers right now on the spot to throw no-hitters this year. Alek Manoah of the Toronto Blue Jays. Shane Bieber of the Cleveland Guardians. This is a fun one. Shohei Ohtani of the Angels. Max Scherzer of the Mets. And maybe he does it against the Nationals. That would be a really fun subplot. Corbin Burns of the Brewers. And let's go with... This is a tough one in the National League West. I wanted to pick somebody outside the box. Let's go with Blake Snell of the San Diego Padres. Just wanted to pick somebody different to throw a no-hitter. So, again, the 6 guys I'm going to call on the spot. Alek Manoah, Shane Bieber, Shohei Ohtani, who I think is the most fun one of the 6. Max Scherzer. Would be funny if he did it against the Nationals. Or the Tigers, for that matter, but I don't think the NL East plays the NL Central this year. But they could. I think they actually do, if I'm not mistaken. Those 2 divisions might meet up this year, because I think But then again, that wouldn't make sense. I don't think those 2 divisions meet up. I think they play the AL West, because the NL East plays, or the AL East plays the Central, and then the AL Central will play the NL West. I think that's how it goes this year, but I could be wrong. But yeah, Scherzer against the Nationals would be a lot of fun. And then I went with Corbin Burns, the reigning Cy Young winner, and then Blake Snell, just an out-of-the-box pick, who won a Cy Young with the Rays several years ago. All right, so that's it for the 2022 Major League Baseball season predictions show. I'll look back at this down the road to see how I do. And hope you guys enjoyed the Major League season, everyone.